Thank you.
Don't spill it.
I brewed that fast, or was this?
No, I had some. It's ready. It's ready to rock.
Didn't I tell you guys when we were at Pat's in Chicago, and me and Dan walked up there with Brent, just big cups of coffee, and they just got this like, white carpet.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You or Dan?
Dan.
How long ago was this?
It was for we went there for the Bears game. It was a Bears game.
Oh,
like, it was before that.
Christmas.
Yeah. Man, it was ugly.
Yeah, they have a white apartment.
Yeah.
It was a lot of spilling.
The whole thing was.
No.
I swear to God, just went. It landed on the glass table and everywhere, just all over the carpet. Oh man.
Were they mad at him?
No. I was like, wow.
How did they get it out?
They ended up getting it out. Wow. Just all kinds of chemicals.
A lot of voodoo.
Yeah. All right. Thought we could talk about the introduction to the book here, and talk maybe some of the things we just talked about there will kind of show themselves here. So I just highlighted some of the. I don't think we really need to read it, but let's sort of skim through it here. Well, maybe we should read the first couple of pages here. I'll read a little bit here. Among the new objects that attracted my attention during my stay in the United States, none struck my eye more vividly than the equality of conditions. Okay, first sentence of the book. It's got to be, and it's a pretty powerful one too. Here he says that equality of conditions is something that he struck his eye, and nothing more vividly than the equality of conditions that he saw there, which is obviously in contrast to what he was used to over in France. I discovered without, and if you guys don't want to stop me, I discovered without difficulty the enormous influence that this primary fact exerts on the course of society, gives a certain direction to public spirit, a certain turn to the laws, new maxims to those who govern, and particular habits to the governed. So first paragraph there is, he sort of does lay out what his whole book is talking about here, how the laws are modified through this, how the people who are governed under equality of conditions, how they are sort of shaped through it. Soon I recognized that this same fact extends its influence well beyond political mores and laws, and that it gains no less dominion over civil society than over government. It creates opinions, gives birth to sentiments, suggests usages, and modifies everything that it does not produce. So therefore, as I studied American society more and more, I saw in equality of conditions the generated fact from which each particular fact seemed to issue, and I found it before me constantly as a central point at which all my observations came to an end. So let's talk about that. We had a conversation a couple weeks ago about I had mentioned sort of I used it through the explanation of a paradigm shift to where your landscape is very different, where your underlying assumption is of what you're seeing. If that changes, it can change everything that you're seeing. So he's sort of saying here that his central point, everything that he looked at, he had through the eyes of, was equality of conditions. Could it be an underlying cause here? So it's sort of, I think it's sort of key to see, he is making an assumption here that equality of conditions does have all these effects, and that it is the conditions, the central point, from which he's basing everything here. Okay? And you can see how, when you come across these sort of bigger concepts like will to power, for example, and how with that in mind, you'll start to see a lot more once you have that sort of idea in your head. You'll recognize things more. There's going to be a tendency there to attribute too many effects to it, but at the same time, it opens the door to see more because you have the idea in mind that's different from what you saw before. So maybe the fact that he came from an aristocracy to a democracy, and he recognized that was the key difference that he saw, whereas somebody who was an American is not going to see this because it's sort of an assumption that they always had. This is the way that things work.
Sure.
So then it says, then I brought my thinking back to our hemisphere, and it seemed to me I distinguished something in it analogous to the spectacle the New World offered me. I saw the equality of conditions that, without having reached its extreme limits as it had in the United States, was approaching them more each day, and the same democracy reigning in American societies appeared to me to be advancing rapidly toward power in Europe. So allowing and seeing that big contrast there, when he went, when he went back, he saw certain things that were happening in America. When he went back, he was able to see, this is actually affecting people over here as well. I didn't even notice it before. At that moment, I conceived the idea of the book you are going to read. A great democratic revolution is taking place among us. All see it, but all do not judge it in the same manner. Some consider it a new thing and taking it for an accident, and they still hope to be able to stop it, whereas others judge it irresistible because to them it seems the most continuous, the oldest, and the most permanent fact known in history. I don't want to say anything about that. Keep going. Well, what's he mean that? A great democratic revolution is taking place among us. All see it, but all do not judge it in the same manner.
Well, referring to Europe and France probably particularly, I don't know at what point in time, how this coincides historically with, the French Revolution. That would be a good idea to know probably some French history with regards to what he, the time frame that he's talking about here. But, if indeed that democratic revolution was taking place, there are going to be those that obviously did not want that to happen. Those in power, those with the wealth, the riches, are obviously going to hesitate and fight,
Against it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the people who are in power are going to see it as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you see that, is that maybe what he means there, but all do not judge it in the same manner. Mm-hmm. That seems right to me. Some consider it a new thing, and taking it for an accident, they still hope to be able to stop it. So he seems to be implying there that this is sort of a inevitable force that can't be stopped. That may be an assumption he's making here, and he's saying that there are people who think that they can stop this force that is too big to be stopped.
I think he agrees with the latter, because he goes on to takes us through of about a page, the next page, 700 years of every year after year, it's just everything is becoming equalized, no matter what. Even if people are against it, their efforts somehow tend to make things more equal.
Okay, so, yeah, and doesn't he talks about religions and the changes there that have taken place. I think he talks about the Crusades. So let's talk about that. Let's go read that right there and see if that jives. I know what you're saying. Yeah, he's. Well, does he say it in that chapter right there?
Yeah,
go ahead and read that. For a moment, I take myself.
For a moment, I take myself back to what France was 700 years ago. I find it divided among a few families who possessed the land and governed the inhabitants. At that time, right of command passes from generation to generation by inheritance. Men have only one means of acting upon one another by force. Only one origin of power is to be discovered, landed property. But then the political power of the clergy comes to be founded and soon spreads. The clergy opens its ranks to all, to the poor and to the rich, to the commoner and to the lord. Equality begins to penetrate through the church to the heart of government, and he who would have vegetated as a serf in eternal slavery